the smoke of battle, the deafening roar of cannons, the fate of a nation hanging in the balance. The American Civil War, a time of immense turmoil and bloodshed, produced heroes and legends. Yet, amidst the pantheon of celebrated figures, one name often gets lost in the annals of history, a man whose strategic brilliance changed the course of the war, General George Meade. Meade, a name synonymous with the pivotal Battle of Gettysburg, a three-day clash that marked a turning point in the war. But Meade's story, like the war he fought in, is much more than just one battle. It's a tale of duty, of unwavering resolve, and of a man thrust into the crucible of leadership at a time when the very soul of America was at stake. Join us now as we journey back to the tumultuous 19th century to uncover the life and legacy of this often overlooked military leader, a man who, despite his quiet demeanor, possessed a steely determination that helped preserve the Union. This is the story of George Meade, the victor of Gettysburg, the unsung hero whose strategic mind shaped the destiny of a nation. On December 31st, 1815, as the echoes of the Napoleonic Wars faded across Europe, a new chapter was beginning in a distant corner of Spain. George Gordon Meade was born in the sun-drenched city of Cadiz, Spain, a place known for its vibrant culture and rich history. His birthplace, a testament to his family's adventurous spirit, was a far cry from the battlefields that would one day etch his name into American history. The cobblestone streets and historic homes of Cadiz were a world away from the tumultuous scenes of war he would later encounter. His father, Richard Worsham Meade, was a successful merchant, a man of ambition who had sought his fortune amidst the bustling trade routes of the Spanish Empire. Richard's ventures took him across seas and continents, making him a well-known figure in the trading community. Richard, a fervent patriot despite his family's long residence abroad, had served the fledgling United States during the American Revolution. His dedication to the cause of American independence was unwavering, even as he built his life in foreign lands. His loyalty to his homeland had been tested during the Quasi-War with France, a conflict that saw him imprisoned by Napoleon Bonaparte himself. The years of captivity were harsh, but Richard's resolve remained unbroken. Released from captivity after years of hardship, Richard had rebuilt his life and his business in Cadiz, where he met and married Margaret Coates Butler. Their union marked the beginning of a new chapter filled with hope and resilience. Margaret, a woman of strong character and deep religious convictions, hailed from a prominent Maryland family. Her upbringing instilled in her a sense of duty and faith that she carried throughout her life. Her brother, Robert Butler, would later serve as a general in the Union Army during the Civil War, a testament to the family's commitment to their adopted nation. The Butler family's legacy of service and dedication was well known and respected. Together, Richard and Margaret created a loving home for their growing family, instilling in their children a strong sense of duty and a deep appreciation for their American heritage. Their home was a place where values of loyalty, courage, and patriotism were nurtured, preparing their children for the roles they would play in shaping the future of their nation. The Meade family's fortunes, however, took a downturn. Financial setbacks forced them to relocate from Cadiz to Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, when young George was just a boy. Despite their reduced circumstances, the Meades remained committed to providing their children with the best possible education, recognizing that knowledge was a passport to a better future. George's early years in Philadelphia were marked by a blend of privilege and hardship. He witnessed firsthand the struggles of his father, whose business ventures never quite regained their former glory. Yet amidst the financial uncertainty, the Meades instilled in their children a strong work ethic and an unwavering belief in the power of education. George, a serious and studious child, excelled in his studies. He possessed a keen intellect and a thirst for knowledge that impressed his tutors. His parents, recognizing his potential, encouraged his academic pursuits, hoping that he would one day make a name for himself through scholarship and service to his country. At the age of 11, George was sent to the Mount Hope Institution in Baltimore, Maryland, a prestigious boarding school known for its rigorous academic curriculum and emphasis on classical education. There, far from the comforts of home, he honed his intellect, mastering Latin, Greek, and mathematics, subjects deemed essential for a young man of his social standing. While at Mount Hope, George's interest in mathematics and engineering began to blossom. He excelled in these subjects, displaying a natural aptitude for problem-solving and a meticulous attention to detail. His instructors, recognizing his talents, encouraged him to consider a career that would put his skills to use in service to his nation. It was during these formative years that George's path became clear. Inspired by his father's legacy of military service and drawn to the challenges of a career in engineering, he set his sights on the United States Military Academy at West Point. The Academy, with its reputation for academic excellence and its promise of shaping young men into leaders, held a powerful allure for the ambitious young Meade. In 1831, at the age of 15, George Meade received an appointment to West Point. He entered a world of strict discipline, rigorous academics, and intense competition, a far cry from the relative comforts of his childhood. Yet, he thrived in this demanding environment, his natural intelligence and unwavering determination propelling him to the forefront of his class. The curriculum at West Point was designed to mold young men into soldiers and scholars, instilling in them not only military tactics and strategy, but also a deep understanding of mathematics, science, and engineering. Meade embraced the challenge, excelling in his studies, particularly in engineering and artillery, subjects that would later prove invaluable on the battlefields of the Civil War. Beyond the classroom, West Point instilled in its cadets a strong sense of duty, honor, and discipline. Meade, already possessing these qualities, embraced the Academy's code of conduct, internalizing its values, and emerging as a natural leader among his peers. His time at West Point shaped him into a man of unwavering integrity, a soldier who understood the importance of both intellect and action, of strategy and sacrifice. In 1835, George Meade graduated from West Point, ranked 19th in his class of 56 cadets. His academic achievements, particularly in engineering, earned him recognition and respect among his peers and instructors. Commissioned as a second lieutenant in the 3rd U.S. Artillery, he embarked on a military career that would take him to the far corners of the young nation. Yet, amidst the excitement of graduation and the promise of a life in service to his country, a different kind of destiny awaited Meade. He had returned to Philadelphia, eager to reconnect with family and friends, when he met a young woman who would forever change the course of his life, Margaretta Sargent. Margaretta, known affectionately as Maggie to her family and friends, was the daughter of John Sargent, a prominent Philadelphia lawyer, politician, and diplomat. Her family, well-connected and influential, moved in the highest circles of Philadelphia society. Margaretta, intelligent, graceful, and possessed of a quiet strength, captivated Meade's heart. Their courtship, conducted amidst the genteel social gatherings of Philadelphia's elite, blossomed into a deep and abiding love. Meade, a man of duty and discipline, found in Margaretta a kindred spirit, a woman who shared his values and supported his ambitions. Margaretta, drawn to Meade's intelligence, integrity, and quiet strength, saw in him a man worthy of her love and respect. On December 31st, 1836, a year to the day after his 21st birthday, George Meade and Margaretta Sargent were married. The ceremony, held at St. Peter's Episcopal Church in Philadelphia, united two families from different worlds, blending military tradition with political and social prominence. It was a union built on love, mutual respect, and a shared commitment to family and country. Their marriage, a source of strength and solace throughout their lives, would be tested by the demands of Meade's military career and the tumultuous events that would soon engulf the nation. Through it all, their love for each other and their unwavering commitment to their family would remain a constant, a beacon of hope amidst the storms of war and uncertainty. The early years of George and Margaretta's marriage were marked by a blend of domestic bliss and the challenges of a military career. Meade, his engineering skills in high demand, was assigned to various projects across the country, from surveying the swamps of Florida during the Second Seminole War to mapping the coastlines of Texas and Alabama. Despite the frequent moves and long separations, George and Margaretta were determined to build a family. Their first child, John Sargent Meade, was born in 1837, followed by 5 more children over the next 2 decades: Margaretta, George, Richard Worsom, Henrietta, and William. Margaretta, a devoted mother, shouldered the responsibilities of raising their growing family with grace and determination. She created a loving and stable home for their children, instilling in them the values of education, hard work, and service that she and George held dear. The Meade household, despite its frequent relocations, was filled with laughter, learning, and the unbreakable bonds of family. As the storm clouds of secession gathered over the nation, George Meade found himself torn between his love for his family and his duty to his country. A man of peace by nature, he dreaded the thought of war, yet he recognized the threat to the Union and the principles it represented. When the Civil War erupted in 1861, Meade did not hesitate to answer the call to arms. Leaving behind his beloved Margaretta and their 6 children, he joined the Union Army, his engineering expertise initially put to use in the defense of Washington, D.C. Despite the hardships and dangers he faced on the battlefield, Meade remained a devoted husband and father. He wrote to Margaretta and their children whenever possible, his letters filled with love, concern, and longing for home. Margaretta, in turn, kept him abreast of family news, offering words of encouragement and unwavering support for his sacrifices. Meade's first taste of combat in the Civil War came at the First Battle of Bull Run, a clash that shattered the illusion of a quick and decisive Union victory. The battle, fought on July 21, 1861, near Manassas Junction, Virginia, pitted inexperienced Union troops against a surprisingly well-organized Confederate force. Meade, commanding a brigade in the Pennsylvania Reserves, found himself in the thick of the fighting. The battle raged throughout the day, a chaotic and bloody affair that tested the mettle of both sides. The Union attack, initially promising, faltered under fierce Confederate resistance, and the Union lines eventually crumbled, sending panicked soldiers fleeing back towards Washington. The First Battle of Bull Run was a rude awakening for the Union Army, a stark reminder of the horrors of war and the resilience of the Confederate forces. For Meade, it was a baptism by fire, a harrowing experience that instilled in him a profound respect for the enemy and the unpredictable nature of combat. Despite the Union defeat at Bull Run, Meade's performance in battle did not go unnoticed. His courage under fire, his tactical acumen, and his ability to maintain discipline among his troops impressed his superiors. He was promoted to Major General of Volunteers in November 1861, a testament to his growing reputation as a capable and reliable commander. In the spring of 1862, Meade and his division joined Major General George B. McClellan's Army of the Potomac for the Peninsula Campaign, a bold but ultimately unsuccessful attempt to capture the Confederate capital of Richmond, Virginia. The campaign, marked by cautious advances, missed opportunities, and McClellan's constant overestimation of Confederate strength, would prove to be a frustrating and costly endeavor for the Union Army. Meade, though frustrated by McClellan's hesitant leadership, distinguished himself in several engagements during the campaign. He led his division with skill and determination, earning the respect of his men and the admiration of his fellow officers. His performance in battle, however, could not alter the campaign's ultimate outcome. The Union Army, after weeks of fighting and maneuvering, was forced to withdraw from the peninsula, their hopes of a swift victory dashed. The humid Virginia summer of 1862 bore witness to a series of bloody engagements known as the 7 Days Battles, a brutal test of wills between the Union Army of the Potomac and General Robert E. Lee's Confederate Army of Northern Virginia. For George Meade and his division, these battles would be a crucible of fire, a relentless test of courage, endurance, and leadership under unimaginable pressure. The 7 days began with the Battle of Mechanicsville on June 26, 1862, a Confederate assault aimed at driving McClellan's forces back from their advance on Richmond. Meade's division, positioned on the Union right flank, bore the brunt of the Confederate attack. Outnumbered and facing fierce resistance, Meade's men held their ground with remarkable tenacity. Throughout the week that followed, the fighting raged across the Virginia countryside, a relentless back-and-forth struggle for every inch of ground. From Gaines's Mill to Savage's Station, from Glendale to Malvern Hill, Meade and his division fought with unwavering courage, repelling Confederate attacks and inflicting heavy casualties on the enemy. The 7 days battles, though tactically inconclusive, took a heavy toll on both sides. The Union Army, though forced to abandon its advance on Richmond, had inflicted heavy casualties on Lee's forces. However, for Meade, the campaign came at a personal cost. He was wounded in action at Glendale, a musket ball shattering his arm. Despite the severity of his injury, Meade refused to leave his command. He continued to direct his division from his sickbed, his determination and unwavering sense of duty inspiring his men. However, his wounds required time to heal, and he was forced to relinquish command temporarily. As Meade recovered from his injuries, the Union Army regrouped and prepared for new campaigns. The war, far from over, had entered a new and even more brutal phase. Meade, his arm still healing, yearned to return to the fight, to lead his men against the Confederacy and preserve the Union he held dear. In late August 1862, just weeks after recovering from his wounds, Meade returned to the Army of the Potomac, his arm still stiff, but his resolve unshaken. He rejoined his division in time for the Second Battle of Bull Run, a clash that would prove to be another bitter defeat for the Union Army. The battle, fought near the site of the previous year's Union defeat, pitted Major General John Pope's Army of Virginia, reinforced by elements of the Army of the Potomac, against Robert E. Lee's Army of Northern Virginia, bolstered by the legendary Stonewall Jackson's Corps. Meade's division, part of Major General John Porter's 5th Corps, found itself at the center of the fighting. Despite a valiant effort by Union forces, the Confederate Army, led by the tactical brilliance of Lee and Jackson, outmaneuvered and overwhelmed Pope's army. The Union attack faltered, and a Confederate counterattack sent Union soldiers reeling back towards Washington. Meade's division, though fighting bravely, was caught up in the general retreat, suffering heavy casualties. The defeat at Second Bull Run was a crushing blow to Union morale, but it also steeled the resolve of Union commanders and soldiers alike. As Lee's army crossed the Potomac River into Maryland, hoping to spark a pro-Confederate uprising in the border state, the Union Army pursued relentlessly, determined to bring him to battle. On September 14, 1862, elements of the Union Army, led by Major General George B. McClellan, clashed with Confederate forces defending the passes through South Mountain, a strategically important ridge in western Maryland. Meade's division, now part of Major General Joseph Hooker's West Corps, played a pivotal role in the fighting. The Battle of South Mountain was a hard-fought Union victory, a much-needed boost for the beleaguered Army of the Potomac. Meade's division, fighting with its usual tenacity, helped secure a key pass through the mountain, opening the way for the Union advance into Maryland. 3 days after South Mountain, on September 17, 1862, the Union and Confederate armies clashed near the town of Sharpsburg, Maryland, in a battle that would become known as Antietam. the bloodiest single day in American history. For George Meade and the men under his command, it would be a day of unimaginable carnage and heroism, a day that would forever be etched in their memories. The Battle of Antietam raged for 12 hours, a relentless back-and-forth struggle for every inch of ground. Meade's division, positioned on the Union right flank, found itself in the thick of the fighting, engaged in a desperate struggle for control of a 40-acre cornfield that would become known as the cornfield. The fighting in the cornfield was some of the most intense of the entire war. Wave after wave of Union and Confederate soldiers surged back and forth across the field, their muskets blazing, their cannons roaring, the air thick with smoke and the stench of gunpowder and death. Meade, always in the thick of the action, rallied his men, his courage and determination inspiring them to fight on, despite horrific casualties. The Battle of Gettysburg, fought from July 1st to July 3rd, 1863, stands as a pivotal moment in the American Civil War, and at its center was Major General George Meade, the commander of the Union Army of the Potomac. His leadership during these crucial days not only defined the outcome of the battle, but also helped turn the tide of the war in favor of the Union. As the sun rose on July 1st, Meade had just taken command of the Army of the Potomac 3 days prior. Unbeknownst to him, Confederate forces under General Robert E. Lee were advancing into Pennsylvania. Early that morning, Union cavalry skirmished with Confederate troops near Gettysburg, and news quickly reached Meade. Realizing the urgency of the situation, he ordered his forces to concentrate at Gettysburg. By the afternoon, Union troops were pushed through the town, and Meade's leadership began to take shape. He quickly ordered reinforcements, including the famed Iron Brigade, to hold the line against the advancing Confederates. As the battle raged, he made the critical decision to withdraw his forces to higher ground south of Gettysburg, setting the stage for a defensive stand. On July 2nd, Meade faced the heart of the conflict as Lee launched an all-out assault on the Union flanks. Meade's calm and decisive nature shone through as he quickly recognized the importance of Little Round Top, a strategically vital hill on the Union left. He dispatched Colonel Joshua Lawrence Chamberlain and the 20th Maine to hold this position at all costs. As Confederate troops swarmed the hill, Chamberlain's men fought valiantly, repelling assaults and executing a daring bayonet charge that would become legendary. Throughout the day, Meade moved among his troops, issuing orders and inspiring them, showcasing his resolve as he coordinated defense efforts across the battlefield. The morning of July 3rd dawned, and Lee, believing that a decisive blow could shatter the Union lines, prepared for an assault that would be remembered as Pickett's Charge. Meade, aware of the impending assault, fortified his positions. As the Confederate artillery rained down on the Union center, Meade remained resolute, confident in his men. When the dust settled and the Confederate infantry began their advance, Meade's foresight proved crucial. His troops, well prepared and positioned, withstood the onslaught. The Union forces unleashed a devastating fire upon the advancing Confederates, effectively halting their charge. Meade's ability to anticipate Lee's strategy and bolster his defenses played a significant role in the Union's success that day. As the battle concluded on July 3rd, the Union Army had secured a crucial victory, marking a significant turning point in the Civil War. Meade's leadership and tactical decisions had a profound impact on the outcome, earning him recognition for his pivotal role at Gettysburg. However, he also faced criticism for not pursuing Lee's retreating army aggressively. In the days following, Meade reflected on the battle, realizing the weight of his command and the sacrifices made by his soldiers. The victory at Gettysburg not only bolstered Union morale, but also turned the tide of the war, paving the way for future successes. George Meade's moment-by-moment decisions during the Battle of Gettysburg encapsulate the essence of leadership under fire. His ability to adapt, inspire, and decisively act in the face of overwhelming odds defined not only the battle, but also his legacy in American military history. A nation, scarred but not broken, began the long and arduous process of healing. For George Meade, the victorious general who had led the Union Army to victory at Gettysburg, the transition from battlefield to peacetime brought its own set of challenges and rewards. Returning to a nation forever changed by the ravages of war, Meade received a hero's welcome. His name, forever linked to the pivotal battle that had turned the tide of the conflict, was on the lips of grateful citizens throughout the North. He was hailed as a savior of the Union, a symbol of unwavering resolve and military brilliance. Yet, amidst the adulation and accolades, Meade remained the same humble and unassuming man he had always been. The horrors he had witnessed, the sacrifices he had made, had left an indelible mark on his soul. He had seen firsthand the terrible cost of war, and he carried with him the weight of those who had fought and died under his command. The war may have been over, but the task of rebuilding a shattered nation had just begun. The South, devastated by years of conflict, lay in ruins. Its economy was in shambles, its infrastructure destroyed, and its social fabric torn apart. Meade, with his military experience and engineering expertise more valuable than ever, was called upon to play a key role in reconstruction. Assigned command of the Military Division of the Atlantic, he oversaw the military occupation of the former Confederate States, a delicate and often thankless task. Meade approached his new responsibilities with the same sense of duty and determination that had characterized his military career. He worked tirelessly to restore order, to provide aid and assistance to those in need, and to lay the groundwork for a just and lasting peace. Meade's command of the Military Division of the Atlantic encompassed a vast and strategically important region, stretching from Pennsylvania to Maine and including the major port cities of Philadelphia, New York, and Boston. His responsibilities were wide-ranging, encompassing everything from maintaining order and enforcing federal law to overseeing the decommissioning of warships and the reintegration of former Confederate soldiers into civilian life. Despite the challenges he faced, Meade approached his duties with his characteristic thoroughness and attention to detail. He reorganized the military districts under his command, streamlining operations and improving efficiency. He worked to ensure that the rights of all citizens, regardless of their wartime allegiances, were protected. Meade's military presence, while reassuring to some, was viewed with suspicion by others. The wounds of war ran deep, and the process of reconciliation was slow and often painful. Yet, through it all, Meade remained a steady and reassuring presence, a symbol of stability and order in a time of uncertainty. Philadelphia, Meade's adopted hometown, had also been deeply affected by the Civil War. The city, a microcosm of the divided nation, had been torn by political strife and social unrest. Meade, with his reputation as a war hero and his commitment to public service, was seen as a unifying figure, a man who could help heal the wounds of the past. In the years following the war, Meade played an active role in Philadelphia's civic life. He served on various boards and commissions, lending his name and his expertise to efforts to improve the city's infrastructure, education system, and public health. Meade's voice, tempered by experience and guided by reason, was a welcome one in a city still grappling with the legacy of war. He spoke out against extremism and intolerance, urging his fellow citizens to embrace reconciliation and to work together to build a better future. Meade's intellect and thirst for knowledge, evident throughout his life, found a new outlet in the post-war years. In 1868, he was appointed provost of the University of Pennsylvania, a position that allowed him to combine his passion for education with his desire to shape the minds of future generations. As provost, Meade oversaw a period of significant growth and transformation at the university. He championed academic rigor, expanded the curriculum, and recruited renowned scholars to the faculty. He believed that education was the key to progress, and that the university had a vital role to play in shaping the future of the nation. Meade's tenure as provost was marked by his commitment to academic excellence, his accessibility to students and faculty, and his unwavering belief in the transformative power of education. He left an enduring legacy on the University of Pennsylvania, helping to solidify its reputation as one of the nation's leading institutions of higher learning. Despite his many accomplishments, Meade's legacy was not without its detractors. Some critics, particularly those who had opposed the war or questioned his decisions at Gettysburg, sought to diminish his achievements. They accused him of being too cautious, of failing to pursue Lee's army aggressively after Gettysburg, and of not doing enough to end the war sooner. Meade, a man of honor and integrity, was deeply affected by these criticisms. He defended his record vigorously, writing articles, giving speeches, and engaging in public debates to set the record straight. He refused to let his hard-won reputation be tarnished by what he considered to be unfair and unfounded attacks. Meade's efforts to defend his legacy were not solely about self-preservation. He believed that it was important to preserve an accurate historical record, to ensure that the sacrifices made by so many during the Civil War were not forgotten or misrepresented. As the years passed and the passions of war faded into memory, Meade found solace in the company of his family and the familiar rhythms of civilian life. He divided his time between his home in Philadelphia and his country estate, Meade's headquarters, in nearby Radnor, Pennsylvania. Surrounded by his beloved Margaretta, his children, and his grandchildren, Meade enjoyed the simple pleasures of family life. He took pride in his children's accomplishments, watching them marry and start families of their own. He found joy in nature, spending hours riding horses, tending to his garden, and enjoying the tranquility of his country estate. Meade's later years were not without their sorrows. He mourned the loss of friends and comrades, their lives cut short by the war or by the passage of time. Yet, through it all, he remained a source of strength and wisdom for his family, his love for them a constant in a world that had seen so much change. On November 6, 1872, at the age of 56, George Gordon Meade died peacefully in his sleep at his home in Philadelphia. He had been in failing health for several months, his body weakened by the lingering effects of his war wounds and the relentless pace of his life. His death was mourned by people across the nation, from the halls of power in Washington to the humble homes of those who had served under his command. He was remembered as a true American hero, a man who had answered his country's call in its hour of need, and who had played a pivotal role in preserving the Union. Meade's funeral was a testament to the respect and admiration he had earned during his lifetime. Thousands of people lined the streets of Philadelphia to pay their respects as his funeral procession made its way to Laurel Hill Cemetery, where he was laid to rest with full military honors. His passing marked the end of an era, the closing of a chapter in American history that had been defined by conflict, sacrifice, and the enduring hope for a more perfect union. As the decades have passed since the tumultuous years of the Civil War, the echoes of that conflict still resonate in the American consciousness. George Gordon Meade's name has remained inextricably linked to the pivotal Battle of Gettysburg, a name that has become synonymous with resilience and tactical genius. The rolling hills and hallowed grounds of that Pennsylvania countryside, forever consecrated by the blood of thousands, tell a story of sacrifice and valor. These fields stand as a testament to Meade's strategic brilliance and the unwavering courage of the men he led into battle, men who faced insurmountable odds with unyielding resolve. Meade's victory at Gettysburg, a turning point in the war that broke the back of the Confederacy's offensive might, was not just a military triumph, but a beacon of hope for the Union cause. This victory secured his place in the pantheon of American military heroes, a place earned through grit, determination, and an unwavering commitment to his country. Yet his legacy extends far beyond the confines of that single, though momentous, battle. Meade was not just a soldier, he was a scholar, an engineer, and a devoted family man. He was a complex and multifaceted figure, a man of deep intellect, quiet determination, and unwavering principle, whose contributions to the nation extended far beyond the battlefield. His work in the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers left a lasting impact on America's infrastructure. Meade's contributions to the nation were not limited to his military achievements. His work in the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers helped shape the nation's infrastructure, and his leadership style influenced generations of military strategists. Today, visitors from across the globe make pilgrimages to Gettysburg, drawn to the site of one of the most consequential battles in human history. They come to learn, to reflect, and to honor the memory of those who fought there. They stand before the imposing monument erected in Meade's honor, its bronze likeness capturing his resolute gaze and the weight of command he carried on those fateful July days. The monument stands as a silent guardian of history, a reminder of the sacrifices made and the enduring legacy of leadership and courage. Its bronze likeness capturing his resolute gaze and the weight of command he carried on those fateful July days, it serves as a focal point for reflection and remembrance. They pause at the simple headstone marking his final resting place, a stark reminder of the fragility of life and the enduring legacy of those who fought and died for a cause greater than themselves. The headstone, though modest, speaks volumes about the man it commemorates, a man whose life was dedicated to service, honor, and the unyielding pursuit of a united nation. Military historians and strategists continue to study Meade's campaigns and battlefield decisions, dissecting his tactics and analyzing his leadership style. He was not a flamboyant or charismatic general, prone to grand gestures or rousing speeches. Instead, he was a meticulous planner, a student of military history, and a master of logistics, who understood that victory was often the result of careful preparation, disciplined execution, and the ability to adapt to ever-changing circumstances. Meade's strength lay in his strategic thinking, his ability to assess the strengths and weaknesses of both his own forces and those of his enemy. At Gettysburg, he demonstrated an uncanny ability to read the terrain, to anticipate Lee's moves, and to position his troops to maximum advantage. He was not afraid to make bold decisions when necessary, but he also understood the importance of caution and the need to preserve his army for future battles. Meade's legacy as a military leader continues to inspire and inform those who study the art of war. His campaigns, particularly his masterful defense at Gettysburg, are taught in military academies and war colleges around the world, serving as timeless examples of strategic brilliance, tactical flexibility, and the enduring importance of leadership under pressure. While George Meade's name will forever be synonymous with his military accomplishments, his life was defined by more than just his exploits on the battlefield. He was a man of deep personal integrity, unwavering moral compass, and a profound sense of duty to his nation and his fellow citizens. Throughout his life, he approached every task, whether it was overseeing the construction of coastal fortifications, navigating the complexities of Reconstruction, or guiding the academic growth of the University of Pennsylvania, with the same meticulous attention to detail, unwavering commitment to excellence, and steadfast adherence to principle that had characterized his military career. Meade's legacy is one of service, not just in times of war, but also in the often unheralded tasks of peacetime. He understood that true leadership required more than just courage on the battlefield. It demanded compassion, integrity, and an unwavering commitment to the betterment of society. In the years since his death, George Meade's legacy has been honored in countless ways. Memorials and monuments bearing his name stand not only at Gettysburg, but also in Philadelphia, Washington, D.C., and other cities across the nation. Schools, parks, and streets have been named in his honor, ensuring that his name and his deeds will not be forgotten. Historians and biographers continue to research and write about his life and career, shedding new light on his motivations, his challenges, and his enduring contributions to American history. Their work helps to ensure that future generations will understand and appreciate the sacrifices made by Meade and his generation. Yet perhaps the most enduring tribute to George Meade is the continued existence of the nation he fought so hard to preserve. The United States of America, with all its flaws and imperfections, remains a beacon of hope and freedom for people around the world, a testament to the sacrifices made by those who believed in a government of the people, by the people, for the people.